Hello, Facebook. Welcome to Ask the Undertaker. About to get started shortly. I'll go live right now on Heaven 97. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Ask the Undertaker, an open, honest look at your funeral service, brought to you by Golden Gate Funeral Home and Crematory, with facilities in Fort Worth, Texas, Dallas, Texas, and Tallulah, Louisiana. I'm your host, John Beckwith Jr., and I'm joined today by our Chief Financial Officer, my sister, my partner, Carolyn Haynes.
Good morning, everybody.
And we have the Chief Funeral Director, Mr. Kevin Haynes.
Hello, Arlington, Azle, Bedford, Benbrook, Blue Mound, Burleson, Colleyville, Crowley, Dalworthing Gardens, Edgecliff Village, Hewlett, Everman, Flower Mound, Forest Hill, Fort Worth, parts of Grand Prairie, Grapevine, Halton City, Hazlitt, Hurst, Keller, Kennedale, Lakeside, Lake Worth, Mansfield, Newark, North Richland Hills, Pantego, Pelican Bay, Reno, Richland Hills, River Oaks, Saginaw, Sampson Park, South Lake, Trophy Club, Watauga, Westlake, Westover Hills, Mosier Valley, Westworth Village, White Settlement, Como, and Stop 6, Texas.
All right, Tarrant County is in the house.
Yes, sir.
We want to start off, of course, with our scripture. Deacon Haynes.
The Word of God says in Luke, the 2nd chapter, the 49th verse, and he said to them, did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?
All right, be about
Glasses.
your father's business. A family-owned funeral home. That's what we're talking about today. Really been blessed is that Carolyn Haynes, which is my sister, she's the oldest of the 5 children, run our Dallas location, but she's also the owner of Golden Gate Funeral Home. And then we have Kevin Haynes, which is her husband. Today they celebrate 22 years of marriage.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
He runs our Fort Worth location. And then we have Michael Beckwith, which is our first cousin. He runs our Tallulah location. Now, when we say run, we are actually family owned and operated.
Yes, sir.
We have no partners. We have no investors. There's nobody loaned us money. We have to pay them back. Our father started this business 40 years ago and has never sold the business. So it's our father by himself in 1980. Our mother came and joined him in 1985. I went to mortuary college in 1985. Carolyn joined us in
1994.
1994. Went to mortuary college in
1998.
1998.
Yes, sir.
And Kevin joined us in Waxahachie.
Oh, back in the late 80s.
In the late 80s. So when we say we're family owned and operated, I always like to brag about Kevin has worked here longer than his wife.
That's
It's kind of hard to explain that.
Here.
But a lot of times what people don't understand, Carolyn, is that every 4 funeral homes in America is owned by corporations. They're not family owned and operated.
Most definitely. And this has been an issue and a concern for families for years. And we're going to talk a little bit more about how some of them are kind of fooled by names and the like. But understand that's a staggering figure. Knowing that beginning, that's where funeral homes started, was family owned and operated.
So what happens is that the corporations will come in and purchase these funeral homes, Kevin, but they don't change the name. Now, I thought it was interesting. One of the big corporations around the nation, one of the biggest, actually put their name on some funeral homes. And I was shocked when they did that.
Right.
But they took Dignity and put that on every funeral home. Did that shock you when they did that?
It did shock me. I mean, they were really taking a chance. I mean, it was like, you think about President-elect Joe Biden taking a chance on a woman, and then again, a black woman. This is what these large corporations did. They took these small mom and pop funeral homes, and then they, tried to change the name to protect the innocent, I guess. I don't know what was.
I was shocked because normally what happens is that you never know who owns the funeral homes.
That's right.
It's just they buy the funeral homes, they leave the name up there. Even if it's your family name, it stays up there. And they normally give them some type of compete clause, and they stay there. So people think
They still own. It's still family owned and
it's still
operated.
family owned and operated, but that is not the case.
No, it's not. Again, as you stated, 1 in 4. That's really a surprising number when you look up the number of funeral homes in and around the United States. Very shocking, but again, some of the corporations have just come in and they have bought a lot of these corporations. Some of them didn't have generations to lead them to. We've been fortunate at this time that we have at least 3 generations in our family. We're trying to train the 4th generation as well to try to keep it going so that we can remain family owned and operated. When our dad started this business, this is his heart. So of course he then, trained us for it to be our heart. And we want families to understand that family-owned funeral homes are the heart of our communities.
It's big, Chief, when we think about this. If I'm a corporation, I must answer to shareholders. You say, what do you mean by answer to shareholders? Is that it's all about profit. It's not about anything else. So if you say, well, who are you talking about? I'll use Dignity for an example. You, as a regular person, can go invest into their funeral home. You can go buy shares in SCI. You can actually go buy shares. If that funeral home don't make any money, a lot of people are going to get fired. A lot of things are going to happen. A lot of things are going to get moved around because you have to answer to the owners of the funeral home. In this case, the owners are shareholders from all over the
world.
They can care less about if your loved one is taken care of. They don't even know you. They're not even from here. But that's who you have to answer to, Chief.
That's right. It's all about numbers with them. It's not about personal service or anything like that. It's just, if you don't produce and get those numbers, then there's going to be some changes, on board.
A lot of times, and you say, well, what difference does it make? Well, I can tell you, at Golden Gate Funeral Home, because we are family-owned and operated, Carol and I make all the decisions. If you go to Fort Worth, Kevin don't have to call over here and get permission to do something because we're family.
That's right.
That's just the way it goes. I can honestly say to you, whatever your budget is what we're going to stay with you.
Right.
It doesn't matter what the price list says. It doesn't matter what was quoted over the phone. It doesn't matter. You come here and say, John, this is my budget. I say, okay, we're working within because I have no one to answer to. Carol, you can say, what is your
budget?
And we stay within your
budget.
You can't do that with a corporation. Chief, just bottom line.
No, you can't do that with a corporation. I mean, someone in another state is calling the shots on, what goes, what transpires in the business.
And it's interesting, Carolyn. We'll say something like this here. We'll meet any competitor's price.
Right.
We're telling our families, if you're entrusting Golden Gate Funeral Home with your loved one, we don't ever want to make price an issue. So if the funeral home next door, or you say, well, they're inferior, they don't have your facilities, your vehicles, they don't have your skill level. If they're offering a funeral for less price, I don't want you to have to settle for that. Come to Golden Gate Funeral Home. Just give me their price.
Yes.
We can do that because we are
family owned and operated. Most definitely we can do that. Again, it's not about profits. Our dad taught us that a long time ago. And we have since learned in this 40 years, we've never been hungry. We've never been able to make sure our employees were taken care of. We just really bought into his idea that if we take care of the people will take care of us. And he's exactly right. It's not profit. It's not a standardized price that when you walk in this door, this is it. There is no adjustment. There's no room. There's no nothing. It's not such a starched funeral arrangements for your family. It's truly about your family and you.
Available 24/7. Now, tell me you can call the owner of any corporation. The answer is no, because the owner is millions of people that have invested. There is no owner of the company. Who can you call? You call maybe the local manager. But listen, if he doesn't make a profit, if she doesn't make a profit, she's not going to be there next year. He has to always look out for his job. And if the profit is not there, Chief, they no longer have a job.
I mean, that's true. And I've had some good friends that were, had a family owned and operated business and they sold to the corporation and they saw dramatically how their business changed. And, even with the community that they were serving and they couldn't wait to get out of that non-compete clause so that they could, reopen and start their family owned business back up again.
Now, what year did you come in?
1994.
So how many years is that now? Is that 26?
Yes, sir.
So you've been here 26 years. I've been here 35 years. Name a corporation that still have the same manager for 35 years.
Can't.
They're just not
No.
there.
No.
Name a corporation still have the same person in charge that was in charge 20 years ago.
Right.
Chief, that's just not the case.
No, that I was on the phone with them the other day, and it was just a totally different crew from what I talked to 6 months ago.
Mhm.
So it's just, I mean, it's just a revolving door. They move them from location to location, or they move them totally out. It's just, it's not good.
40 years.
40 years.
We've been
Thank you.
blessed, Carol.
Yes.
40 years.
Yes.
Beckwood family.
Yes.
Mom, dad,
Yes.
myself, you, Kevin,
Yeah.
my daughter, Ashlyn, Michael
Exactly.
Beckwood,
Right.
Katrina,
Right.
with Charlotte.
Right.
I mean, all of us
Yeah.
work here.
Yes, sir.
We have the next generation in place, and then we have Dayon, which
Uh-huh.
is the
Fourth generation.
fourth generation
Yes, sir.
that works here with us.
Yes.
It's just really amazing when we say, you know what's really interesting, Chief? I'll still get asked, John, have y'all sold your funeral home? John, I heard that Golden Gate sold funeral home. So I said, if you think I sold my funeral home, listen, I wouldn't be working there. That's
Not available 24/7.
listen, Chief. Who ain't gonna be driving you is me. Who ain't gonna be
Making
sitting
funeral
down making funeral arrangements
Okay.
is me.
Right.
And listen, you might say, well, how does people fool us? Let's say
Mm-hmm.
people might say they're family owned, but they're really not. Listen to this. All businesses, it is public record
Yes, sir.
who owns it.
Mhm.
If you say, what do you mean it's public record? If you sue me, you
Mhm.
will have to go out there and find out who owns Golden Gate Funeral Home. And they'll tell you who to serve.
Yes, sir.
Carolyn, I get served, or you get served.
Right,
But that's the
exactly.
way it works.
Yes, sir. Owners. They serve owners
Owners.
of business.
Oh, okay. And it's not like you can't just go out there and Google it. It's not like you can't just go out there and do any research on who actually owns a funeral home. And it's interesting, over the years, our competitors, Chief, have tried to use that against us. Every time I buy a new hearse, he must
Right.
have sold his funeral home.
Mm-hmm.
Every time I buy a new sign, or if I get a new limousine,
Right.
oh my God. Listen, y'all, black folks successful too.
Yes.
You don't have to be white on to be successful.
Right.
You don't have to be white on to buy a car. You don't have to be white on to buy a hearse. Chief, you don't have to be white on to do well for your family.
Right.
No, you don't. And I remember those days very well when, we changed the signs to black and gold. And then, when the trucks came and removed cars, but they didn't realize there was another truck around the corner that
They're
was
driving
driving
them
off
off.
cars, So, I remember those days vividly.
And it's really interesting, and I still get asked that to this day.
Yes.
Now, I try not to take offense to it, but of course I am a little,
You look crazy.
because I think about how hard we work.
Exactly.
How hard our parents work.
Right.
To own our business, and everything we have say owner. You and I are on a billboard downtown Dallas that
Right.
say CFO owner,
Right.
CEO
Owner.
owner. Y'all listen, if we didn't own the place, we couldn't advertise
Owner.
owner.
No.
Now let's talk about some of the advantages of being family owned. There's no upselling.
Right.
We're not in here trying to get more out of you, trying to
We
take
can have it.
advantage of someone at a grieving moment.
Yes, sir.
I've heard of people going to these corporations, and I said, "You spent what on what?
Right.
You spent that much? Oh well, I had $100,000 policy, so I didn't think nothing about it." It's like, oh my God,
Right.
I can't believe they did that to you.
Right.
And what really bothers me, Chief, I think about the white funeral homes burying black folks. I mean, maybe it's just me. I just have a problem with that. And then maybe I'm a little prejudiced.
No, I mean, it is a problem, and it's sometimes it's challenging for us because whereas our people in our community, they will go to the white cemeteries and they will be okay with whatever they give them, but then they'll come to us.
$10,000 for a cemetery. They just say, okay.
There's no negotiation, it's taken care of, and then you come to us who will help you in any possible way. Then we want to negotiate.
And it's interesting, the cemetery up the street will tell you how many folks you can bury in one day.
Mm-hmm.
They'll tell you can't bury your little one on the Saturday.
Exactly.
Listen, we fool.
Right.
We fool. Golden Gate Funeral Home is
Never.
fool. We have 36 funerals this weekend.
Yes, sir.
We're never a fool.
No.
We would never say that to the family. And Chief, we would never tell you when you can have a funeral or what time you can have a service.
No, that's never been an issue. We've made, even if our facilities are at capacity, we've made agreements with other locations in our community where we can continue to service you. I find it disheartening that you go to the cemetery and where you own property and they tell you that you can't have your service on a certain day.
And we don't protest them. Black Lives Matter,
Yeah.
except when it comes to funeral
Yeah,
business.
mhm,
Because we'll take our loved ones to a company they support Trump.
mhm.
There's no question about where they stand politically. There's no question about where they stand. You let a race war break out and see where they stand.
Right.
And I know they got black folks working there.
Mm.
But rest assured, their money is not going to Black Lives Matter.
Right.
Their money is not going toward
The
Biden,
community. Mhm.
Harris. You can rest assured that's all that money went to Trump.
Yes, sir.
Every dime you spent over there with him went to Trump. And they make it very clear. And Carolyn, we have to make a stand to say black-owned businesses matter and we need to support black-owned businesses.
Most definitely. And again, Golden Gate Funeral Home, 40 years in business, family owned and operated, and we're in the community. And it's not like we live in Washington. It's not like we live in California. We live in the community that we serve. This is our community. We were born here, raised here, went to high school here, went to local colleges here, and we are here to service you. And what we have to keep in mind, years traditionally, that's how our communities have been able to thrive with the family-owned and operated businesses. Again, as John just stated, putting the money back into the community and not taking out.
R.L. Thornton Elementary.
Yes, sir.
All 5 children, you went through there.
Yes.
I went through there.
Right.
You went to Bouse, you went to
Zoo Walk.
Walk. I'm thinking a few people watching. You might know
Right,
somebody.
I am.
I went to Bouse.
Right.
You graduated from
South
Sock.
Oakland.
Sock
Yes,
was my
sir.
home school.
Yes, sir.
I graduated from Skyline.
Yes.
You're in his line.
Oh, yeah.
You
that's
might
right.
know something about that.
Yo, yeah.
We are locally owned and operated.
Yes, sir.
We was born and raised here.
Yes,
I
sir.
go to Mount Rose Church every Sunday
Sunday.
morning before
That
voting.
allow you.
And
Right.
I'll go to St. John Missionary Baptist
Yes, sir.
Church in Grand Prairie, South Lake. We are local.
Yes, sir.
This is where we spend our money. This is where we pay our tithes.
Right.
This is where we buy our things from. We use the local
Taxes.
grocery store, our taxes,
Yes, sir.
everything goes back toward
This
our
is-
community.
Yes, sir.
And Carolyn, that's important.
It's very important. So we want everybody out there to understand exactly what we're talking about today when it comes to choices for your family-owned funeral home, for your funeral services for your loved one. And that's why, again, we talk about the 7 things every week, how important they are. I don't know of any commercials from any of the corporate-owned funeral homes that give you that information, that try to make sure that everything is in line and in order when you have to walk into this room and make funeral arrangements. So it's very, very important who your choices are for funeral services.
So we talk about the 7 things, and we thought that was important.
Yes,
We said, listen, we don't think it's important for everybody. We think it's important for our community.
yes, sir.
I mean, because they've been reaching their community.
Yes.
Now they done reached into our community.
Yes.
What happened was the reason why they started letting you use their funeral home and their cemetery. And let's not forget, there was a time you couldn't walk in there.
Yes, sir.
They would not let your
That's
black
right.
self come in there. And they wouldn't let your black self be buried there. That's the bottom line, period. Kevin, it is.
What it
It
is.
And I'm not lying. I don't mind saying that on the air because it is true. There was a time you could not walk in there
Yes, sir.
to the point where they built a black facility for you. They put it in the back of the cemetery.
Mhm.
They said, listen, the white folks coming up front, going off the freeway, and the black folks, we're gonna put y'all in the back. We're gonna build y'all a facility, so we're gonna mix these 2 together. Now they letting you come there, and we running there.
Yes.
And
Can't
make some
wait.
sense. Tell about Black Lives Matter. You wonder why racism? You wonder why they treat us the way they do? It's
Right.
because we keep giving them
We're
our
allowing
money
it. Yes, sir.
regardless. We don't hold them to any type of standard. We don't say, listen, we're not going to give you our money. We're going to give our money to the black-owned and operated restaurant. We're going to
Mhm.
give our money to the black-owned and operated car dealership. We're going to give our money to the
Grocery
black-owned and operated grocery store.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to keep our money. I mean, separate but equal, Carla, was a good thing
Mhm.
financially
You're right.
for the African Americans.
Most definitely. And again, we need to just continue to build up our communities. We can't let them run down because we're taking the money out of the community and going somewhere else, purchasing things other places that are not in our community. Our communities will die out, and we don't want that. We want to show our children and generations to come where we came from, where we can make it nice, where we can make it better. Because again, we are able as African Americans, as Black Americans, to be able to get some education and bring some things back to the community, but we need to have it here.
And we have to support black businesses.
Yes, sir.
We can't have that crab
Mentality.
mentality that we see someone doing well but we try to pull them
Down.
Hey, listen, if we protest somebody, it ain't us.
Right.
It's gonna be some white folks. It's gonna be some folks that we're
Don't
gonna
look
need
like
to be
us.
fighting
Yes,
against.
sir.
Chief, I believe that's just the way it should be.
Yeah, it needs to be that way. We need to rally behind one another. We need to keep looking forward. Don't look back. I mean, if there's somebody that's lacking, grab them by the hand and pull them and take them with you. I mean, we need each other.
And I think it's very important to note, even our black associations, we have a local black association, they have now allowed the corporations to run the association. They took white funeral homes and black people and put them in charge of a black association. It's like, wait a minute, how are you gonna stand for black people if you work for a white funeral home?
Right.
How are you gonna lead me as a black association? You work for a
White.
white funeral home. You can't tell me anything about my community, about my culture. You're a sellout. Can I just call it what it is?
Mm-hmm.
You're a sellout. And can we trust a sellout?
No.
I mean, the bottom line, we have to call it what it
Is.
is. And Chief, we talk about pre-needing. It is very important that you find Golden Gate Funeral Home, that you find an African-American family-owned and operated business
Yes.
to pre-need with.
That's right, because I mean, we're used to, pomp and circumstance in our funeral services, and the corporations know that, and that's why they put they put black people in the front line now, of their businesses, trying to reach out to you. But pre-need is very important, that you go ahead and start getting these things together and finance it if you can. If you can, at least have something written so that your family has some type of idea.
Because your family may not know.
Right.
They may not be listening to this show. They may not be watching this show, but you are. So you have to say, listen, you have to make sure I go to a black-owned business
Mm-hmm.
because you're old enough to know what it was like before.
Yeah.
And we understand the new movement with Black Lives Matter.
Right.
How important it is as African Americans that we stay strong financially.
Yes.
In order for us to do that, we must keep our money in
Our community.
our community.
Yes, sir.
How important is that, Carl?
It's very, very important. Again, as we drive down our streets, as we drive down our freeways, we see, oh, that used to be owned by the Johnson family, and now it's all boarded up. And then we're starting to move away from our communities. But we cannot teach our children. We can't keep traditions going if we start to take our money out of the communities. So again, as we're fortunate enough to go to college, to get the education, to get the knowledge, we need to bring it back. And we need to build and we need to continue our family-owned black businesses.
And it's interesting, Chief. I know you and I have been around this a long time. We can name so many black funeral homes that did so well that are now out of
Business.
business. I mean, look at Cedar Crest Funeral Home.
Right.
They bury
Everybody.
We grew up at Lone Star Funeral Home. I put a picture on Facebook today of me on their fan. Completely out of
Business.
Pinkston
Yes. Yes.
Funeral Home. We're talking about old traditional
Right.
McGowan Funeral
Right.
Home. We're talking about black people that invested into this community, that the next generation completely lost
Mhm.
that business, Chief.
Yeah, there was just no one that that wanted to learn the business and pick it up and that they could pass that torch to and keep it going. I mean, those that didn't completely go out, they end up just selling out. It's just there was two things that we had, and that was the black church and our funeral homes that nobody just really touched, and now we see that they're tapping into it now.
Right, but we see the white funeral homes are still here.
Mhm.
The same white funeral home that was here back when the black funeral homes was here. They're still,
Here.
and they sell all the time.
Right.
I mean, it's not unusual for us to say, well, who owns the cemetery now? Well, let me just tell you, they
Right.
sold this recently.
Mhm.
And you'll be shocked, most cemeteries in Dallas have sold within the last 5 years.
Right.
I just want to make sure I'm not making that up.
No, that's
Is there
true.
a funeral, is there a cemetery in Dallas that hasn't sold in the last 5 years for African Americans?
Not that I know of, no.
There's
No.
not one cemetery in Dallas that has not sold to another corporation within the last 5 years. They
One of them sold
constantly
twice.
sell. And one of them sold twice, yeah, within the last 5 years. And all the funeral homes and all the cemeteries you think you know, they all have sold out to corporations.
Yes.
Over and
Over again.
over again. Then we got this African-American family-owned and operated business over here. We shouldn't have to compete with them. Not when it comes to the black business.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying, Chief?
Right.
listen, the white folks ain't running over here. Know that
Right,
for a fact.
right.
Now, if I bury 50 white people a year, it's gonna be because of price.
Mhm.
That's the bottom line.
Exactly.
Hispanics, we do handle about 200 Hispanic cases a year. And that's because we have Hispanic
Workers here.
employees
Yes,
that
sir.
speaks the language,
Yes,
and they get
Bring
treated
their
accordingly
family.
when they go to the white funeral homes too.
exactly.
Because Hispanics are a minority as well.
Exactly. They
They
live
get
in our community. so-
And they get treated
Yeah.
accordingly.
Yes,
So
sir.
they end up using a black-owned and operated business. And we're saying as African Americans, we have to continue to support black businesses.
Yes.
Don't believe that crowd mentality when people tell you that a black funeral home has sold out. Just check it for yourself.
So,
It is public record that John Beckwith Sr., John Beckwith Jr., and Carolyn Haynes owned Golden Gate Funeral Homes. Don't let that crowd mentality pull us
down.
down. And that's what happens. And you know what's really sad about that, Chief? It came from a black person.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, it's always
It
us.
wasn't a white funeral home
Yeah.
that told them. It's
Mm-mm.
one of us
Right.
that's trying to pull each
Other down.
other down. And we have to stop that, y'all. If we don't stick together, y'all, we're gonna fall to,
Together.
and they can't wait.
Waiting
They
on it.
can't wait, because as soon as they get the big boys like ourselves, what happens then?
Oh, they can get everybody
Yeah,
then.
it's,
They're
Exactly.
it's there, then it's owned corporately. And the communities, you will suffer if and whenever that everything is corporately owned. That's why we are keeping it trying to keep it in our family, bringing in all of these generations so that we can make sure that we can put something out there for you, something for our generations to look forward to as well, to continue our heritage.
All right, this time we're gonna pray for the families who have entrusted us with their loved one and have passed on to their reward. Ms. Haynes?
Mr. Jeffrey Tevis, Miss Virginia Graceful, Miss Camilla Chris, Mr. Richard Hartfield, Mr. Sampson Horace, Miss Felicia Malloy Lane, Infant Aiden Richards, Miss Yolanda Romo, Miss Doris Dennis, Mr. James Adkins, Mr. Roger Williams, Mr. William Gillespie, Mr. Paul Calhoun II, Mr. Luther Rogers, Mr. Edwin Washington, Mr. Andrew McAfee, Mr. Jorian Caldwell, Miss Ella Dixon, Miss Maria Oliveras, Miss Marcellus Ross, Miss Maddie Tucker, Miss Pearlie Webb, Mr. David Blakely Sr., Miss Bobby Donnell, Child Tyra Gillum, Mr. Cecil Reed, Mr. Larry Brown, Miss Yolanda Dade, Mr. Alfonso Newhouse, Miss Patricia Holiness, Mr. Oliver Wilson, Miss Shirley Richmond, Mr. Marcus Tate Clay, Miss Bertha Sims, Miss Jimmy Flemings, Mr. Eric Smith, Miss Sandra Johnson, Minister Lyman Turner, Mr. James Dobbins, Miss Carolyn Lewis, Mr. Wendell Odie, Mr. Jermaine Anderson, Mr. Raymond Ward, Mr. John Ramsey, Miss Denise Fisher, Mr. Devon Stevenson, Mr. Roderick Hicks, Mr. Kenneth Harrison, Miss Vivian Ingram, Miss Jessica Jones, Mr. Cedric Vidal, Mr. Neri Garcia, Mr. Fonsel Moore, Miss Lucille Davis, Miss Jasmine Atkins, Miss Shirley Williams, Miss Rosemary Lusk, Mr. L.T. Freeman Jr., Miss Betty Jackson, Mr. Don Spears, Miss Lula Kennedy, Miss Patricia Cobb Wright, Mr. Frederick Cole, Miss Gertrude Beal, Miss Virgie Johnson, Miss Patricia Gabriel, Mr. Chadrick Williams, Miss Frances Lister, Mr. Dan Caraway, Miss Carolyn Worsham, Mr. Wyndham Harlan, Mr. Philip McDaniel, Mr. Clyde Turner, Miss Brenda Lewis, Mr. Archie Clay, Miss Janetta Carey Allen, Miss Padrica Knox, Mr. Leon Delgado, Mr. Robert Holliday, Mr. Anthony Brown Sr., Mr. Jerry Williams, Mr. Frederick Willie Jr., Mr. Michael Grigsby, Miss Megan Bennett, Mr. Terry Holden, Miss Vivian Clemens, Miss Yvonne Pemberton, Mr. Reginald Jesse, Miss Annie Mitchell, Miss Maddie Russell, Mr. Tyrell Hill, Miss Diane Johnson, Miss Elsie Ware, Mr. John Davis, Mr. Eddie Ray, Mr. Curtis Cummings, Mr. Michael Sloan, Miss Ada Washington Dixon, Mr. Fidel Geronimo, Mr. Lee Smart, and Mr. Marvin Peters. Deacon Haynes.
Dear God, our Father, we come now. We thank you for this day. We thank you for yet another opportunity to call out to your holy name. Father, we just want to say thank you. We thank you for our founder, our owner, John Decker Sr. We thank you for the vision that he had, and we thank you for sustaining him. We thank you for those that you have commissioned to provide comfort. And Father, we realize that on today and on this week, many will cry out for comfort, and we know that you are a comforter. Father, we thank you again for all that you've done, and we ask that you would be with these families who will stand at gravesides on today and say farewell. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Deacon Haynes, where are we coming from today?
The word of God says in Luke, the 2nd chapter, the 49th verse, and he said to them, did you not know that I must be about my Father's business?
All right, today we're talking about family owned and operated, about our Father's business. Our Father
yes.
started the
Yes,
business.
he did. Yes,
We have
sir.
continued the business. We are still 100% Beckwith family owned and operated.
Yes, sir.
John Beckwith Sr., John Beckwith Jr., as well as Carolyn Haynes. We are the owners of Golden Gate Funeral Home, Dallas, Fort Worth, Texas, and Tallulah, Louisiana.
Yes,
We
sir.
thank God for Kevin Haynes, who runs the Fort Worth, Michael Beckwith as the Tallulah, Louisiana.
Yes,
Carolyn runs the Dallas location. We have everybody, Carolyn.
Yes, sir. Family.
I have a daughter that's a funeral director here. You have a daughter that works here. I have
Yes,
a
sir.
grandson
Yes,
that
sir.
works here.
Yes, sir.
So we've really been blessed to be family owned and over 105 employees.
Yes.
Minority
Employees.
that we're able to give jobs to,
Yes.
to help in this community.
Yes, sir.
And we know how important it is. But I definitely do not want to get off the show without saying the importance of make sure you pre-need with an African-American, Black-owned and operated Golden Gate Funeral Home.
Yes, sir.
If you do not, your family will go out there to the local cemetery, which is owned by white folks, and they'll say, well, we'll just do everything in one place. And they'll say, well, since we're going to bury here, we might as well just have the
Funeral.
funeral here. You don't want to spend your money where people are supporting Trump.
Mhm.
You don't want to spend your money where people are fighting you against Biden and
Harris.
You understand?
Yes, sir.
You understand the difference. Do you
Yes.
really want to put your money where they're fighting against Black Lives Matter? Do you really want to give your money to people who are a part of what we've been fighting
Yes.
against?
Yes,
So
sir.
we say the importance of family owned and operated, and the importance of being a Black family owned and operated business.
Yes.
Carol, we saying pre-need. Tell your family exactly what you want. But more important, tell them you want to come to Golden Gate Funeral.
Most definitely tell them the funeral home, because they will pick up some paperwork that you have in the home. And years ago, as stated, they came into our community because they wanted our money. It was never about customer service. It was never about tradition. It was never about our families. It was simply about money. So they came into some of the homes years and years ago. But please now write this information down and give it to your family. We at Golden Gate Funeral Home, again being family owned and operated, accepts all pre-needs from all funeral homes.
So
And
even
we will
if they
make
made
sure.
the mistake.
Yes, sir. Years
Purchase
ago.
a pre-need years ago with the white funeral homes. You're saying you can bring that to us
Yes.
and we will honor it.
We will honor. Your family will not lose one dime. Everything you have listed there, we will make sure that you will receive it at the time. But your family must know the funeral home of your choice and list it as Golden Gate Funeral Home. And again, everything that you want. That's the hardest part we as funeral directors see is families just don't know what you want for your funeral service.
I want to say hello to Devetta Williams Thomas. Thank you for joining us. Dr. A.B. Hope and Walter Flowers. Carl Sonia.
All right.
Thank you. And then Faye, Special K. Keller. She's with us almost every morning. And then we have Sue Sledge Jones, just having a search for her husband.
Oh, bless you.
And then we have mother-in-law on here, Miss Daphne Payne.
Good morning.
And then cousin Dexter.
Hello.
We'll see you, Dexter. Well, thank you all for joining us, being a part of the family-owned and operated Golden Gate Funeral Home
Yes, sir.
as the Undertaker. We're the one who brought you, hey, everybody needs some insurance.
Yes.
Not only do you need insurance because you're familiar with that, but we're the ones who saying, listen, thank you, Jackie, for the research.
Yeah.
When we say, be careful who's the beneficiary.
Yeah.
There was an African American funeral home that said, listen, don't make your
Minor children.
children
Yes, sir.
beneficiaries.
Yes, sir.
Make sure your job insurance is assignable to a funeral home.
Yes, sir.
And you have to go ask that because if you have a teacher retirement, Chief, can I use a teacher retirement?
At the present time, no, teacher retirement will only deal with the beneficiary. They will only pay the beneficiary, and the funeral homes cannot send an assignment to teacher retirement system.
And Carl, when we say funeral home can't send assignment, I mean you have to pay us.
Yes.
And then they have to pay you.
That.
Who has that money up front?
Not many people at all.
Right, so you want to go get some.
Outside insurance. Yes, sir.
Right. And I'm not saying drop your teacher's retirement. No, please keep that. Keep
Yes.
it.
That's even.
Any state insurance you have, please keep it.
Yeah.
But you need some additional insurance if you plan to use it for burial or cremation purposes.
Yes, sir.
And Carol, we know that's important that we teach our community that.
Most definitely, because we didn't know that. We had these burial policies, these small policies, and it was for burial only. But understand as we were educated better, then we did get the jobs where there was insurance offered. But we just took what they said. We took them at their word and we stuck it in a drawer. We're asking you now, go and see your HR person and ask them about this money being available for a funeral if that's part of the purpose. And make sure you have a named adult beneficiary. We still see that on job insurance where there is no beneficiary listed at all. And then it takes your family through, again, another trying time at this, your passing.
And so now we talk about last will and testaments every week. Now, why do we bring that up? Because we know in our community, so many people don't even have them. We're like, man, we're not going to probate nobody's estate. When we die, we're going to just divide it up
And be gone.
and go on with our business. But that is not the proper or the legal way to do business, Carol.
Most definitely. We still see it. We still see a lot of homes are run down because nobody went in and they took care of them. And then some of them that because families were arguing, they could not decide who would get the home. Then it's taken for taxes. So let's not let all of our hard work go to waste. Let it go to taxes to, again, corporate owned. We don't own any tax entities. So understand that this last will and testament is very important. That we put everything in writing, get it witnessed, get it notarized, put it in this proper place. So that it goes to your families and continue your family traditions and generations for time to come. And again, John loves to say, we must have a clear title in order to continue on.
Probate. Your last will and testament is not legit until it is
Probate.
probated. I mean, come on, how many people, Chief, riding around with paper tags? Because an
too
estate
many.
didn't get probated and don't have clear title on a car.
Oh, you can see it. You can just tell it all the time. I mean, you see a 1986 Buick with paper tags.
Like, did you just sell that car yesterday?
It's like, come on now.
And that is illegal.
It
And that's
is.
why we're always mad at the state troopers
Right.
and mad at the local
Trying to go
police
around.
and the
They
sheriff.
pull us over.
And they have pulled us over and this car is not registered.
Yes.
I mean, all we have to do is take that last will and testament, go to a probate court and have that probated. Let's say if you don't have a last will and testament, you still have to get the estate
Probate.
Probated, chief, is just the right thing to do.
It is, and it doesn't take, it's not a long process or anything like that. I mean, it's just a matter of, going down to the probate court, getting it on file, and then, and you wanna do an executor, and you want somebody to be over that, regardless, whether you have a will or not, because you don't want the courts to decide, what happens to your
And if
stuff.
you don't have the last will and testament, the courts will be more than happy to appoint an executor
Oh, yeah.
Of it.
for you. And they're going to make the decision that you should have made sure.
So,
Now let's talk a little bit about this living will, especially with this COVID.
Yes,
I
sir.
can't say enough about that. People end up on ventilators, people end up in a situation, strokes, heart attacks, where they can't speak for themselves, Carol. How important is it that we have an understanding if something happens to me, not into debt, that you know exactly what to do with me?
very, very important. And we've been talking about this for months and months, where a lot of people are going into hospitals and they aren't able to speak for themselves. You need to let your family, you need to let the medical professionals know exactly what you want done for you in your condition. And as we're seeing now, thank God, with this COVID situation, that people are coming off of respirators, are coming off of ventilators. But at this point, they can't stay in their homes by themselves. You must put this in the living will, because again, at this point, you may not be able still to speak. And your family needs to know, and the professionals need to know exactly what you want done when you cannot speak for yourself.
Strokes, heart attacks.
Yes, sir.
Do you want to go home? Do you want to be in a
Facilities.
nursing home? Is
Yes,
your
sir.
family even capable of taking
Take care
you
of
home?
her,
I mean,
exactly.
can they even take care of you?
Right.
I was with a family last week, and my hat really went out to her. She left her husband, and they're still together, as husband and wife, but she moved in with her mom. He stayed at the house because they didn't want to move the mother to their house. Because they didn't want to take mom out of a area that she's familiar with. And she lived a long time, over 90 years old because of that. So she took a part of her life away, took care of her mother. Her husband was understanding and allowed her to
Be able to do that.
do so. Carol, you got to have that in writing.
Most
Do you
definitely.
want your family to do that for you?
Right.
I mean, that was an amazing story, but do
Exactly.
you want that to happen? If you do, great. But if you don't, put it in.
You must put it in writing. Your family needs to know exactly what you want done when you can no longer, again, take care of yourself on a day-to-day basis. And make sure that you've spoken to this person, and it's all in agreement. Now, this young lady was able to and willing to take care of her mom, but again, it's your decision as to how you want to live the rest of your life out.
And then, Carol, we can't say enough about this. Remember, it's 7 things. And one of the things on our list is make sure we can get that money out of the bank. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, and still, y'all, every week we talk about it, and every week we still see it. No one else's name is on that bank account. For the last 13 plus years, we've been telling you, no one else can get your money while you're alive, while you're able to go in and take care of business. But when you cannot, don't allow that money to sit there. Don't allow your family to have to go to court to get that money out of the bank. Put it in writing. Simple. Payable on death doesn't cost you any money and costs you very little time. But the heartache and the trials for your family with this money just sitting there, or otherwise it's going to stay in that institution until 20, 30 years from now. They're going to have to put out some type of notice for this money. So again, payable on death, simple, and doesn't cost you any money.
But Chief, you're gonna have to tell me where's the bank. And I need the banking account
Number.
and I need to know that I'm the beneficiary of that account.
Yes, sir.
That's right. That's really important that, that there are no secrets. You don't want that money and stuff to just be held up. So it's really important that, they know exactly, which bank you're using, and where things are so that they can get to it, who the insurance company is, things of that nature.
And it's just payable on debt.
That's
It's
it.
free. You walk in the bank and say, I've been listening to the Undertaker show,
Right.
and they said something about a payable on debt. And it's just that
Simple.
simple. Yeah, I did the whole show last week on right of disposition.
Mm,
Because that's how important I
it
thought
is.
who's in charge.
Yes.
Now, we're seeing this way too often. And Chief, I'll
Still.
start with you.
Yeah.
Still having the fights.
Still having those fights, you gotten separated, but you didn't get a divorce and your spouse has moved on somewhere else. But, if you don't have a right of disposition, they're your legal next of kin. And sometimes we have to wait until, that person decides to show up and take care of things. And so, it's really important. And that's a simple process as well. The state of Texas has a right of disposition code in in the occupation, well, I don't know if it's occupations code, but it's in one of the codes, but we have those forms here. It just takes you can appoint someone to be in charge of your disposition. If they can't perform that duty, if something has happened to them, their successors that are available to be listed as well. It does not have to be your legal next of kin.
Now, how important is it that it doesn't have to be the legal next of kin? Because y'all listen, I get to choose my friends, but I don't get to choose my family.
Right.
Now y'all didn't hear what I said.
Yeah.
I get to choose my spouse, but I don't get to choose my sister. I don't get to choose my mama, my daddy, my brother. You don't have a choice in family. You were born into
This family.
family. But listen, if you don't have a right of disposition, that family you know is not going to take care of business. It's going to be in charge. Carol, that one little sheet of paper. You want to put the person in charge you know is going to take care of business. We're not saying it shouldn't be a family member, but you want to be the right family member.
Most definitely. And it needs to be the person you trust. Because even sometimes with your spouse, your closest family member, they don't agree with your decision about your disposition.
Right.
But this is your disposition, and you have someone that you trust enough, whether they like the decision or not, I'm going to do it because she asked me to. Put that person in charge so that you know your disposition goes the way you want it to go.
Thank you, Pastor Ford, for joining us. Pastor Ellis Ford
All right, good morning.
is on with us. And Chief, when we talk about how important that is, I think one of the biggest things we have to remind people is that all children over the age of 18 are equal next of kin. People keep thinking I'm the oldest. Anybody over the age of 18 are equal next of kin. How important is that?
That's really important. And then, the other fact is that, in our community, we have, a lot of us have remarried, and there's, children on both sides. And, and so, choosing someone from the outside to be, the right of disposition that's respected by both sides, I mean, it's just a perfect option.
And it's interesting because you say that because sometimes step kids are better than biological kids. I mean, it's just that reality.
Right.
Just because you're my biological child doesn't mean you're the one that's best for taking care of my business.
Exactly.
If that's the case, you definitely need a right of
Disposition.
because stepchildren are not in line.
Right.
Biological children and
Adopted.
children, not stepchildren. Even though you raise the stepchildren, you've been with them since they were born, stepchildren are not in line.
Right.
So you got to do a right of disposition if you have stepchildren.
Exactly, that you want to take care of your business. You know exactly who takes care of business, who you've taught, who you've trusted, who's taking care of things with you and for you. That's the person that needs to be in charge. And it doesn't really matter about the other family members and the like, because again, as sad as it is, we see the fights and we know you don't really want to fight at the time of your disposition.
It sounds like you're ready to say
No,
something,
no,
Chief.
no.
And I think it's very important, Chief, is that even if I choose my next of kin, let's say if you say, well, Carolyn is my next of kin, and she's going to be in charge of my funeral. It doesn't hurt to put that in writing, so that when Carolyn comes in here, she don't have to discuss it with your mother. She don't have to discuss it with your aunt or whoever. Just like this, I know I'm the next of kin legally, but also this is his wishes. It's in writing. Chief, how important is it, even though the person that's next of kin is in charge, that the people actually see it in writing they were in charge?
Oh, yeah, just to see that in writing, it's just everybody has a clear understanding, and that you speak loudest when you put it in writing and, it's there for everybody.
And it's important because people don't always like your spouse.
Right.
That's what you choose to marry.
Exactly.
That's not who your family chose to
Exactly.
marry. Some people call them in-laws, some people call them
Outlaws.
because everybody don't agree with who you marry. They don't agree with how they treated you, or they were sick and they didn't come wait on them. They got all kinds of things out there. If you want your spouse in charge,
Put it in
still
writing.
put it in.
Writing.
You know who you love.
Right.
And if you don't want them in charge, put that in writing as well.
It is right. Exactly. Again, this is about you. All of the things that we're talking about is about you and your family. And you really, know your family. Right now, you're the glue in the family. You keep both sides together, all sides together. When you come in, hey, all the arguments stop. That right of disposition is you in the room, letting everybody know exactly what you want done and how it's going to be done.
How important is it, Chief, if you're going to make me right of disposition, that I'm also beneficial of the money?
Oh, yes, we've seen that happen. It's very important that whoever you choose as the right of disposition, that they have the money to operate, because if not, the one who is the beneficiary has it has that money. It's a blank check. They can do whatever they want to do with it, and they have the option of getting up and walking out of the room
And have done it.
just wait
Yes.
and have done it.
So we look at, those who have the goal makes the rules.
Yes.
We've heard that.
You're exactly what happened.
And they will remind you of that. And then sometimes we'll have this happen. Children will come in and make arrangements for their parent, they love them. And then here come a wife that hasn't been around in, I don't know
Years.
when. Here comes a husband. And all of a sudden, they are the next, and y'all, they hold everything up.
Yes.
So if you're taking care of your mother, you're taking care of your father, please get this right
Yes,
disposition.
sir.
Put yourself in
Sure.
charge of that. Get them to sign and just say, listen, Mom, I'm the one who take care of you. I need you to sign this. Because I can't have somebody from the outside coming back in.
Most definitely, I can, and I can't take care of you. I've been here taking care of you, taking care of things, and you pass away. Next step is the funeral, burial, and/or cremation, whatever you want, but it must be in writing so that everybody in the room knows. I'm not having a fight with anybody, and I'm taking care of you. Simple procedure, again, costs you no money. Either download it from our website or come to either of our locations, and we will witness it for you, we'll notarize it for you, we'll make a copy for you, keep it in a record here for you as well, so your disposition goes out the way you want it to go.
That's so important. And then we talk a little bit about a letter. Now, I think this is important. I was on a funeral last week, and a lady walked up to me. She said, I got my letter. I said, you got your letter? She said, I change it daily. And this is an older lady, and we had a great time in the church talking about that. And I was just like, oh my God, this is great
Yes.
that someone is actually listening and someone is actually doing something
About
about it. Out of the 7 things, I hate to say which one is more important, but it doesn't matter about me having the other 6 things in place. If I don't know where to find those, how much money has been lost? Because people never knew where it was. I mean, we talk about one of our shows that all this unclaimed money.
Yes.
I mean, we talk about billions of dollars that's unclaimed because people just didn't know where it.
It is.
It doesn't matter if I have a bank account with $1 million in it. If I pass away, nobody knows
About the
there's a bank. Or if I got some money in a safe deposit box, or if I got some money in the trunk of the car, or under the mattress, I'll mess around and get that mattress away.
And I'm in there cleaning up.
It's got $1
$1 million.
million inside the mattress. It's just that I have to have a letter that tells me, Carolyn, where everything is.
Most definitely. Just like the lady that he talked to, as your life changes, change that letter. But they need to know the bank account. They need to know the insurance company. They need to know your funeral home choice. They need to know all of your business. And again, there should be someone you trust. If it's not a friend, not a family member, again, there are organizations out there, but someone needs to know so that they can go in and operate just like you operated, and your business is taken care of.
So you say, hey, I got some money with Chase. I got some money with Wells Fargo. I got some money with Bank of America. Listen, I can't just walk in there and say, listen, I know they have an account here. Look it up for me. Now, it doesn't work like that. I need a policy
Or account
number. You must put that on there. I need to have that account number.
Yes, sir.
I need you to put that in the letter. This is where the bank is. This is the account
Yes,
number.
sir.
This is the name of the insurance company. This is the
Policy number.
policy number. And it's interesting, Carolyn, you don't have to have the actual policy.
Right.
If you have the
Policy number.
name and the policy
Number.
number.
Right.
So that's why it's so important if a fire happens or somebody just mean,
Right.
come in there and just take
Tear
it.
it up.
You've already emailed out and sent out this letter. Chief, there's so many things that goes on this letter.
Oh, it is, and it's very important, that you try to save these things electronically, and a person needs to have access. Either email it to somebody, or either someone needs your password to your email. That way, the person can get to it, and then there's no questions about it. I mean, we see so many, DD-214s that are just, you can't read them,
Exactly.
They're so old.
Yeah, they're so old, if you had them scanned in and somewhere where at least they could kind of pull it up on the screen, you're good to go.
And I think people need to decide, do you want to be buried at the
National
National
Cemetery.
Cemetery? I'm glad you
Right.
brought that up
Right.
about the veterans, because we hear that quite often.
Yes.
Mothers of the veteran, or, I'm sorry,
Wives.
spouses of the veteran that pass away 20, 30 years later,
Mm-hmm.
do they still want to go?
To the National Cemetery,
They
right.
may be remarried,
Mm-hmm.
or they may be in another relationship or they've moved on. Even though it's free and they can go,
That's
Oh,
do
choice.
they want to go?
Right.
Chief, how important is it that you put that in writing?
It's very important. I'm sitting here thinking about my uncle right now who, served a long time in the army and was a paratrooper and all this kind of stuff and was very proud of his service. But he tells me once a month that he does not want to be buried in the National Cemetery. He wants to be buried in our family plot in our hometown.
I would have never thought that.
Mm-mm.
He comes in here with me, and I mean, or his family comes
Mhm.
in here. I'm like, no, we're going to the
In National
Oh, yeah.
Cemetery.
We're not going to pay. He deserved this. He earned this. Has to be in writing.
Mm.
It does.
One thing telling the nephew that
Exactly.
you love so much, but
But-
what if something happened to Kevin?
Right. That's must be in
What if
writing.
Kevin's not the one who makes the arrangements?
Right.
You wouldn't.
Even though.
You got to put that in.
Right.
Now, we can't say enough. What do you want to wear?
Mhm.
Now, that is not in the last will and testament.
Right.
Now, it's not even in a premium.
Mm.
I'm telling you, it's not there. What you want to wear?
Where you want your
Nothing is-
service.
Where do you want your service?
Yes, sir.
It's not in a premium.
No, sir.
It's not.
Mm-mm.
What church you want to go to, who you want to preach, who you want to sing. That is not in a premium. That has been in last letter.
Letter of
Letter of
instruction.
instructions. Yeah, it was my mother, presented me with her letter of instructions last Mother's Day, I believe it was, and and it had all of this laid out. She wants the funeral at the church.
And that's not a premium.
No,
That's not a last
That's
will and
instruction.
testament.
This
That's
is-
just a letter of
this was
instruction.
just her handwriting. I mean, it was just great.
And she knows exactly what church she wants to go to. So your life gonna be a lot easier. Mom passed away, you don't have to think.
Mm-mm.
I want this to happen. I
Mhm.
want it to happen here.
Here.
I might want to happen at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And I want this certain person to preach
Sing,
it. I want
preach,
this certain
all
person to
that.
sing it.
Mm-hmm.
And as those people die,
Change
as
it.
they disappear,
Yes, sir.
what we do?
Hey, we got to update it.
That's the key to the letter. When I was talking to the lady at the church, it was updated.
Yes.
That's it. If I do nothing else with this letter, I have to update it.
Most definitely. Again, it's life changes. As you change banks, change insurance companies. You decide, oh no, I don't want to wear that. We had one of the ladies. She actually brought me to the funeral home. Her outfits, and she had one for the season. Whatever season it was, this is the outfit that she wanted. This is the information that your family wants. To be in that room with a complete stranger as a funeral director and have this information, it's invaluable, y'all. So please write it down and let your family know.
So she said, listen, if I die in the spring, this is what I want to wear.
Yes.
If I die in the fall, don't put me in my spring clothes.
Exactly.
That's interesting. I
Yes.
like that. I never
Yes.
even talked about that on the
And my mother, and I've known all my life, she's talked about yellow roses,
Mhm.
yellow roses, yellow roses, yellow roses. Then she gives me this letter of instruction. She says, I want as many flowers as your budget can afford.
So she don't want just yellow rose, she want a
All
whole
of them yellow.
So flowers are important to her.
Yeah.
Now, how important is that? That's in right.
You must know that because otherwise you're gonna say, because a lot of times, especially if I make arrangements with men, they don't care. They don't care what, they don't even know
They
most of
don't
the
know.
time.
That's the key.
No idea. So you must tell them exactly your favorite colors, your favorite flower, exactly what you want and how you want that arrangement.
Just don't know. Man.
No.
I mean, I have no idea. I know Jackie, I always talk about her, but I know I'm a struggle with her. I really, now she's been very clear on the things she wanted,
Mm-hmm.
where she wanted, but still I was struggling, like, what do I put her in? And I've asked her that a few times. She's like, put me in pink here, put me in. But I know she wanted a certain color for her.
Yes,
I didn't think about the season.
yes, sir.
What if it's winter time?
Exactly.
I know she's gonna be in the St. John, but which St. John?
Exactly.
What pair of
Give
shoes?
instructions, ladies. So that goes exactly the way you want. It's very, very important. It's important to you and it's very important to your family. And if they know, they will make sure it's done.
And like I said, if you know, it sure makes life a lot
Yes,
A
easier.
lot easier. And then I tell you, we got to end on this. What is the password
Oh,
on your phone, Chief?
oh,
We got to talk
definitely.
about that.
Yeah, I mean,
How important is that? we get
it's
that across?
really important that you have all passwords, any keys that are hidden, all that stuff. It needs to be out in the open. Somebody has to have access to it. I've gotten to the point now I don't have a password on
Because we
my
have
phone.
so many devices. Like each
Right.
one of us have a device.
Exactly.
On this table, computers. We have phones.
Mhm.
We have so many devices. We're not even talking about safes and
Mm-hmm.
things of that sort. But every one of them comes with some type of password face recognition.
Exactly.
And face recognition does not work on deceased people.
No.
I cannot
Understand.
show this phone a deceased person and it
And
opens.
it will.
Nor can I take a fingerprint for a
Fingerprint.
deceased person
You
and it
know,
opens. You must tell me
the password.
the password.
Word.
Trust somebody
Yes.
with the password.
Yeah.
Now we're gonna be here every Saturday from 10 to 11 o'clock a.m. live right here on Facebook as well as on Instagram. And thank you, have a 97
Yes, sir.
for what? 14
years,
now.
yes, sir.
Thank God, amen. May God bless you. May God keep you.